for schools, churches, organizations, factories, chiropractors, and we start out the same way. Let's do an assessment, let's understand ourselves, let's understand others, and then let's start solving problems.
All right, I'm going to let Kabila kind of talk to you a little bit more about your background, and because I'm seeing she's getting a little frustrated over there, so I've got to take off my interview / general manager hat and put on my tech hat.
Okay.
All right, so well, thank you first for coming. I apologize, I didn't get everything up on the screen. So I'm interested, how can this assessment help individuals? I know we talked a little bit off air concerning what this assessment, how it helps individuals and organizations, but does it work for individuals in any position in the organization?
Any position in the organization. I'll give you an example. For many years I would get offended by people, get my feelings hurt, take things personal. Once I understood there are 4 basic styles of communications and they're just being who they are, I stopped taking it personal and started trying to understand them. Changed everything.
Well, on the flip side of that, you know, we hear the term, well, that's just who they are, that's just how they are. But can some people who have constantly displayed maybe a nasty, negative, stern, firm, whatever type of attitude, can they at some point learn how to adjust themselves, or should they learn how to adjust themselves depending on the situation?
Well, I usually tell people if you're alienating people, then you need to do something about that.
Okay.
But first of all, you have to have the want to, and if you have no want to, there's not a whole lot that Corter Consulting or anybody else can do.
Now, from the individuals that have taken advantage of taking this assessment, they received their results, you've gone through in detail, okay, but these are your positive areas, these are some of your negative areas. Have you gotten much feedback on people actually taking the negative criticism, I'll say, as a constructive criticism? And have they tried to make changes? Or have they made the changes? Probably
a small minority of people actually do something about it. That's kind of human nature. It's I'm gonna try to straighten you out before I straighten out myself.
Okay.
But what we do is we just have them pick one thing to work on instead of 5 or 6, because I have a friend who's a psychologist that says don't have anyone work on more than one thing at a time.
Okay. Alrighty. Alright, so now we're going to get into Legacy-Kell's assessment.
Well, I think before we do it, I think he probably needs to break down exactly what the DISC assessment is, because it has like, it's been a little minute since I looked at the results, but I believe it's like 4 different areas. So let's let Mr. Corter kind of break down just what the assessment is. Then we'll get into my results.
Okay. DISC basically goes back to the 30s and 40s, 1930s and 40s. And William Marston was a psychologist that started dealing with DISC. And D basically stands for dominant or driven. I stands for influencer or inspiring. S stands for steady or stable. And C stands for conscientious or compliant. So there's 4 basic styles. Now it gets a little bit more complex than that when you have to get certified in DISC, but we try to keep it simple at the 4 basic levels. Just understanding there are 4 basic styles give people power to understand others and understand themselves.
Okay, so when an individual takes this assessment, they will fall in one of these categories. One is going to be more prevalent than the other.
Yeah, you usually have what we call a primary and then a secondary, and some people even have 3.
Oh, wow.
But most people have 1 or 2. And so, for example, I'm a DI.
Okay.
I'm a non-existent S. My S is very low, which means I move at the speed of light. Everything is in slow motion to me.
Okay.
The way people move, the way people talk, the way people drive, in my brain, everything is in slow motion.
Okay. Okay. Do you find individuals, when they answer these questions, do you feel that they're answering them very truthfully? I haven't looked at the assessment for myself, so I don't know how the questions are worded.
Well, I'll give you some examples. People will say, this is probably not going to be very accurate because I was in a bad mood or I had an argument or something like that. And I always smile and say, you're probably right. And then they get it back and say, oh my goodness, it is so accurate.
Wow.
If you could affect it by your mood without me knowing it, then it's not a legal assessment.
Okay.
So one of the things that we do is we make sure it passes all EEOC regulations to make sure it's legal. The reason I like it is I don't know whether you're male, female, I don't know what your race is, I don't know what your age is, I don't know what your education is, just by looking at your disc.
Okay, so do you use demographic information at all, maybe during the final analysis?
The company that I distribute for collects demographic information where they'll know how many Ds there are in the U.S. population, I's, S's, and C's.
Okay.
But typically, I don't get into demographics. I just talk about how we communicate.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right, well, if you would like to begin, Mr. Corter, we can begin by looking at the assessment that I took. And, of course, this might be a treat for all of you listeners out there. For all of you that know me, you can judge for yourself to see how, if you agree with what Mr. Corter has to say. If you disagree, of course, well, I won't spoil and say how I feel. So,
okay, well, let's look at your value to the organization first, and that's going to be on page 4.
alrighty.
You're what we call an SC. Your S is extremely high at 92, and your C is at 88, and that's on the adapted style.
Okay, and again, you have to kind of move that mouse. You have to go right across the second screen, and then just keep going right until you get to the third screen. Just keep going all the way to the right. You got it now?
Yeah.
Okay, now for those who are just tuning in, we are speaking with Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting. We're talking about the DISC assessment, which helps people improve their communication skills. And we're actually going over my results, and you said that I was an SC, correct?
Right.
Now, explain once again what the S and the C means.
Okay, S is stable and steady. So to give
I know some people that disagree with that already.
Oh, okay. So to give some idea of what that means is that you're methodical. You like step 1, step 2, step 3. You do not like conflict.
That's absolutely true.
Okay. And then your C part is compliant. You're very analytical. You like rules and procedures, and you like people to follow those rules and those procedures.
Check, and check.
Yeah, because I'm not an overly emotional person. I think
Right.
we get in trouble when we rely so much on emotions instead of rationale.
Right. And to a D and an I, they will probably perceive that you're unfriendly when in fact it's got nothing to do with unfriendly. You just tend to be non-emotional, whereas a D and I tends to be more emotional.
And I would certainly agree with that because, I've had people say that I come off as aloof or stuck up or... You have another problem?
What page are we on?
Oh, we're not on the page. We're still on 4. We're giving commentary. But, people have said, oh, well, he thinks he's all that or he's stuck up and it's not like that. I'm probably in deep thought or deep focus about something.
Yeah, with the S, they like their time. They like small groups. With the C, they like their alone time.
And that's definitely the introverted part of me. Also, shout out to Dr. Branch, my fellow introvert.
Right. So at the end of the day, I usually say that if a C has to be friendly all day long and engaged, by the time they get home, they're ready to crash and be alone. And
absolutely. So far, we're hitting it. We're knocking it out the park. And Kobila's big smile and all are just like nod. Yep.
I've only been working with him for a year, and I've picked up on quite a few of them.
Your value to the organization says that you're objective and realistic.
I try to be.
So if I'm on a team, I tend to be not realistic and not objective. I'm a dreamer. So if I'm trying to accomplish a project, I need someone like you on my team to pull me back down to earth every once in a while, to make me look at the facts and have a plan and look at procedures instead of just always winging it.
And that's for the most part true. I mean, I guess I would be the type that would not wing it, but bring people in. I mean, so sometimes I can dream big as well, but I also realize, dreams just aren't going to happen. It takes some work to get there, and I can get it all done at once.
Right. You dream with a plan and a procedure, and I dream with emotion, and I just feel like this is going to work.
Absolutely.
Also says you're always looking for logical solutions. Do you agree with that statement?
I do.
Okay. What if it's not logical?
Well, if it's not logical, I guess it depends on what degree. If it's just totally illogical, then I'm probably not going to support it. If there's a possibility that we might make it work, I'm open to try it, but I'm probably still going to approach it skeptically.
Okay. So to give you an example of how different, when I walked away from corporate America and went out on my own, to some people that was not logical. I had a good job, making a good salary with good benefits, and I walk away from all of it and go out on my own. What would you have said to me if you'd known me at that time?
I would say do what makes you happy.
Okay, cool.
I mean, because that's just how ultimately, I think people got to do what ultimately makes them happy. If you may have all the money and all the benefits, but if it's driving you insane, what good is it for? And it kind of applies with what I'm doing now. I don't make as much money now as when I actually had a quote unquote job or a career. I was a former school teacher, and I worked for larger radio stations, but I'm happiest here with this small radio station that we have here, because even though it's a small station, I feel it's making a big impact.
Okay. So you said something very interesting, do what makes you happy. That's another thing that I'm a big fan of T.D. Jakes. I just got through reading a book about his on instinct, and one of the things that he says is find out what you're good at, find out what you love, and then prepare yourself through education and experience and pursue that with all your heart.
And that's something that I always tell the younger people that come here, interns, volunteers, and it's a piece of advice I give all the time. In fact, I even mentioned this to the students that I spoke with at Westside Middle School last week. I didn't use the words you did. I just basically said, find out what you love, then find a way to make money doing it.
Right. Yeah, doing what you love is, people ask me when I'm going to retire, and I says, why would I want to retire? I love what I do. And as long as I love what I do, I have no intentions of retiring.
All right, once again, we're speaking with Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting, talking about the DISC assessment, helping people to communicate amongst themselves and among organizations. All right, so we don't want to get too bogged down. We want to make sure we try to get through as much of this as possible. So what is the next thing for us, the assessment?
Okay. In this assessment on pages 5 and 6, it talks about the ways that you like to be communicated with and ways that you don't like to be communicated with. And when we're doing a workshop, we have people literally pick out one or two and share that with each other, where people start understanding, oh, that's why you get frustrated when I come in and talk for an extended period of time instead of just getting to the point.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I don't like long-windedness.
Right.
And we haven't even gotten started. I'm sorry.
So when you're looking at page number 5, ways to communicate, what was one of the things that you checked on this page that was very important to you?
Define clearly, preferably in writing individual contributions. And in fact, I'll give a quick example of this. I had someone that came in and they wanted to get some announcements on the radio, and they had all of these ideas. And with us being a non-commercial, non-profit station, there are certain things we can and we can't do for a client. And some of these big ideas, were clearly going to be some things that we just simply couldn't provide. And the lady was just, I guess she probably was the dominant, because she was just like yelling and screaming. And I just simply said, ma'am, write down what you want let me take a look. Give me some information about your organization. I can probably make this work. I can probably find a way to get the message out that you want out there while staying within the guidelines. But she felt like I had insulted her, because I just didn't go along with what she was saying. Well, it wasn't that I wasn't trying to go along. It's just all the stuff she was throwing at me, I needed to process it. Once I had the data in front of me, I could process it and say, okay, yeah, I can do this. Oh, I can't do that, but I can do this and make it work to where it's a satisfactory outcome for me and for her.
Right. And when you're looking at the D, I, S, and C and what they want, D's want results, but they don't want any reasons or excuses why they can't get their results. I's want a fun experience. S's want a plan, and C's want procedures to make sure it's done and done right.
Robin, you said they want a fun experience.
Yes. Yeah, behavioral I's. I'm a D and an I, so I want results, but I want to have fun getting them.
We may have to have you come back after Kabila does hers.
Okay.
And then I'll sit in the seat and run technology.
Okay.
She's
cool.
All right, so let's continue.
On the next page, page number 6, ways not to communicate, and I usually ask people in a training session, what's one thing you wish everybody knew before they started talking to you that they should not do?
Well, according to what I checked on here, I checked 3 of them. I'll just pick this one. Force him to respond quickly to your objectives. Don't say, here's how I see it.
Okay. So when you're talking to a behavioral S and or a C, give them time, as you said a while ago, to process the information, because when they open their mouth, they want to make sure that the words that come out were worth saying. And sometimes D's and I's want a response too quickly when they should just sit back, take a deep breath.
Oh wow, well, we've already ran against, see, sometimes I get tongue twisted. I'll just show you how this radio thing works, but we are speaking with Mr. Jim Corter of Corter. I'm just not having a good day today. Consultant, you're tuned into Community Conversation. Yeah, let's just go to the break.
KLEK 102.5 FM, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Do you view leadership as a gift? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. As a parent, you may feel like leadership in your home is a burden you must carry or a duty you must endure. And the ups and downs of home life can even make you question your ability to lead as a mom or dad. Well, in his book, The Leader's Gift, Barry Banther says, leadership isn't something you just do, it's someone you become. This couldn't be truer in the world of parenting. So don't just set your mind on the daily monotony. Set your mind on the parent you're becoming. You have the opportunity to mold, shape, and influence your kids more than anyone else in the world. For more on The Leader's Gift, check out my new podcast with Barry Banther at markmerrill.com. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Starks Auto Plaza, your pre-owned superstore, is a longtime supporter of KLEK. 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard, Starks offers clean, reliable vehicles of all makes and models. Starks also offers no-hassle pricing, friendly service, financing options with approved credit. At Starks, you're always family, and our motto is, we never say no. 870-203-9980. StarksAutoPlaza.com.
House of Details, located at 3217 Herb Street, Suite C, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: waxing, clear coat protection, basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more. With a motto of, anything mean, we can clean. Details available via Quentin Bogard at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and houseofdetailsjonesboro.com.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations, and hopefully I'm not so tongue-twisted. This is Cato Wonder. I'm joined by Mrs. Kabila Harden and our guest, Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting. We have been talking about the DISC assessment, which gives organizations and individuals tools to help them to better communicate with each other. And I took the DISC assessment and kind of going over the results. So, Mr. Corter, where were we?
We were talking about ways not to communicate, and I just noticed again, don't stand too close. Give 2 or 3 feet of space. And one of the things that I tell in training sessions is the behavioral C, the compliant, conscientious person, needs their space, so don't get too close to them.
And that's page 6, Kabila.
Yeah, page 6.
It's a checklist for communicating. All right, so continue.
So would you agree with that?
Repeat that.
Don't get too close to you.
Well, there's an old rap song that used to go, don't stand so close to me. So I would agree.
So the behavioral I's tend to be touchy and feely, so we have to talk about that in training sessions. Keep your hands off of a C, behavioral I's. Once they become familiar with you and feel more comfortable with you, if they initiate patting you on the back, then maybe you can do that. But typically, keep your hands off of a behavioral C.
All right, we got a couple Facebook shout-outs. Shout out to Miss I Am Queen Purtle, Latanya Rolfe, and we have a comment from April Isbell Lewis. Good morning, Jim Corter, one of my favorite people.
Oh, cool.
And of course, if you got a question or a comment for Mr. Corter, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. We're also streaming live on Facebook or YouTube, You can also leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook live feed. So, Mr. Corter, where were we?
If you will go to page 7. It's communication tips, and this is one of the things that I tell in training sessions. If you just memorized this one page and practice it over the next 6 months, you would improve your relationships dramatically with many people. Now, there are always exceptions. Some people it's not going to work on. Don't let that influence you trying to have better relationships with others. But it basically gives you three tips on effectively communicating with each of the 4 styles, and then 3 things that will probably create tension with that style.
Yeah, and I'm looking at mine and all of the stuff that I wrote down on when we had our private consultation.
Did you write some things down on your behavioral C?
Behavioral C, that's the blue one, right?
That's the blue one, yes.
That's it.
Yep.
I got on here wants data, and at the top, task focused.
That's correct. And you want people to prepare their case in advance and not just wing it or shoot from the hip. In other words, be prepared.
And Kabila like raising her hand.
Yeah.
I'm not that bad, am I?
It's not a bad thing. It's just, that's just who you are, and that's okay because you're not assertive with it. You just get to the point and let's move on.
Well, my ADHD kicks in. You only have so long to keep my attention.
That's right.
What does the yellow box represent?
The yellow box is the I, so I'll walk through that for you. The behavioral C is blue, and the red box is the behavioral D, the dominant person. The yellow box is the behavioral I, and the green box is the behavioral S. And so the colors actually have meaning. The D, red, usually stands for fire because D's get angry easily about things. The I is sunshine, so they're warm and friendly and talkative. And the S is green, which stands for trees and grass, things that grow, but they grow slowly and methodically. And then the C is blue for deep blue ocean. They are deep thinkers.
Yep, I can be a deep thinker at times.
Yes. So a lot of people are task focused. That's the D and the C. And lots of people are relationship focused. That's the S and the I. And when the S and the I gets around D's and C's, sometimes we think they're unfriendly when in fact they're not unfriendly. They're just not driven off even emotions like the D and the I are, or the S and the I.
Have you been spying on us? We're kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Well, like I said, we're going to have to get one of these on you and have Mr. Corter come back and talk about it. We'll do a little role reversal.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do one on you. And then the blue and the green, the C and the S tends to be introverted or conservative and or shy. And the D and the I tends to be extroverts, and they tend to be talkative and or loud.
That's interesting.
Well, that's not either of us, but I mean, I do know some people that does definitely describe. We're speaking with Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting, talking about the DISC assessment. And if you just tuned in, as you can tell, it's very informative learning about different personalities. But unfortunately, we only got about 14 minutes in the segment and a lot of ground to cover, so we're going to have to move forward a little bit.
By the way, on the page number 8, ideal work environment, what's the number one thing that you checked on there?
I don't have a number. Well, I got 2 check marks. It needs personal attention from his manager and compliments for each assignment well done, and limited contact with people. Now, that limited contact with people, I'm an only child. I do my best work when I'm alone in the studio. I love to be alone. In fact, if I was a single man, I would live here and I could really get a lot of work done.
Right. I usually tell parents who happen to be a D or an I, and they have a child who is a C, when the child comes home from school, give them 2 hours of alone time before you start making them talk to you and play and let's go out and do something, because they need some chill time to cool down from all the conversation they had to have. When an I child comes home and the parent happens to be a C, the I child is ready to play. Okay? As a matter of fact, one of my good friends who's a psychotherapist told me, said, Jim, you're still the 6-year-old boy that's looking for somebody to come outside and play with you.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that means you never grow old.
As you were talking, I was thinking, is there an assessment for families similar to this?
I would imagine the families just take it all individually and then go over the results as a group.
Yes. We have what we call a parent and then a young adult assessment. And it's basically, instead of geared toward business, it's geared toward your communication within the family unit.
Okay. I'm interested in that one.
Yes.
Okay.
The next page is, I always like this, it's an interesting page. Page number 9 is perceptions. We have a perception of ourselves, and sometimes when we get around our total opposite, their perception of us may be very different. For example, I consider myself assertive, venturesome, decisive, but when I get around my total opposite, sometimes they perceive me as arrogant, abrasive, talks too much. So once you start understanding that different people perceive you differently, you have a choice to make. You either tone it down or say, this is who I am. But when you say, this is who I am, get over it, well, then they have the right to do the same thing.
Yes, sir. Now, under perceptions, I just basically circled this whole thing. Since Legansy usually sees himself as being considerate, good-natured, team player, thoughtful, dependable, good listener. I definitely agree with that. Other perception, moderate. Now, this says under moderate pressure, tension, stress, or fatigue, others may see him as non-demonstrative, unconcerned, hesitant, and inflexible. And others' perception, extreme, for otherwise the haters. They say under extreme pressure, stress, or fatigue, others may see him as being possessive, detached, stubborn, and insensitive, and all of those labels have been tossed all of them have been tossed at me.
Okay. And the S's are accused sometimes of being insensitive when that is the farthest thing from the truth. They're very sensitive, but because they withhold back and they don't always say what they think, we, the D's and the I's, may think they just don't care, when in fact they really do care, but they don't like conflict, so they avoid it.
Like I said, it's been very accurate all along. Of course, listeners, be interested to see what you think. If you want to weigh in, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080. Or you can leave your questions or your comments on our Facebook Live feed. A shout out to Dr. Karen Karen. So I always get that miss. Karen McDaniel for checking in. Appreciate you checking in, Dr. McDaniel.
Hello, Karen. Nice to have you listening in.
We got another comment. In fact, Dr. McDaniel says you're one of her favorite people as well.
Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that.
All right, so Mr. Corter, so let's continue, please.
Okay, we're going to go to page number 14.
All right.
Keys to motivating.
Up in my book as Kabila pulls it up on the screen.
Okay, so I'm a DI. I'm a D at about 80 and an I at about 75. So the way you motivate me is you make things fun, or you make a game out of it. For example, when I was diagnosed with diabetes, I just decided to make a game out of it. So one of the things I did is I would drive through the drive-thru at Dairy Queen and say, "Do y'all have dipped cones?" And they'd say, "Yes, sir." What size do you want? I says, "Oh, I don't want one. I'm a diabetic and I can't have one," and I'd just drive off. Once I made a game out of it.
I bet they were fire hot.
Yeah. I did that for about a month. Once I made a game out of it, I started getting my diabetes under control. Now,
did they put you on a ban list?
They should have. But with keys to motivating a C or an S, then we're going to ask you, on this list, what did you mark when we went through it?
To be recognized for his continuance of quality work, proof that the idea has been tested and has worked for others. And that one is definitely true. Like, for example, I order a lot of stuff, a lot of the equipment and different products station from Amazon, and one of the things I always do is look at the reviews, looking at see how did it work for others, especially the percentage of 5-star to 1-star reviews. You know, I look at those 1 stars and see if, okay, is this truly a bad product, or did the people using it just not know what they were doing?
Right. And sometimes, you know, when you're looking at evaluations on Amazon or some of the other places, you have to keep in mind that some people are very difficult to please. Am I looking at the comment from a person that just cannot be pleased, or am I looking at the comment from a person that was truly disappointed because of a bad product?
And that's what I try to do. I'm looking at, okay, instead of saying, well, I hate this thing, okay, well, why did you hate it? Did this not function right, and why did it not function right? And now, if they're saying, okay, it didn't function right because this product did A, B, and C, then I say, okay, yeah, I need to steer away from that. Right. But if they're just saying, well, I just hate it, and then, but you got a bunch of other people saying, well, it worked fine for me, it did what it was supposed to do, then I'm going to put more weight upon that.
One of the things I do before I ever buy a new cell phone is I get the manual and read every bit of it, where when I start using it, I know what I'm doing. That saves me a whole lot of headache.
Okay.
Well, absolutely.
All right.
So on the next page, keys to managing. What do you have to do to manage yourself? We'll take it from that route first. Is there anything on this page that you have to keep in mind you have to manage yourself?
Time to warm up to people.
Okay. And of course, I don't know if you even have a leader or a boss. You may be the leader and the boss.
She's at home.
Oh, she's at home. Okay. Do you have any idea what she would check on this list that you need to do?
Let's look. Crickets. I would say probably conditioning prior to change.
Okay. So a lot of times S's don't like change, D's expect change, I's typically didn't even notice anything changed, and C's want full justification for why we need to change it in the first place. So with the S, sometimes we need to condition them, and that's not a bad thing, to make sure that they understand why change is even needed.
Well, okay, now this is keys to managing. So I was going to say, is there something where I guess someone who I'm actually managing could respond to what they think? Would that be in this section, or was it a previous or upcoming section?
What somebody else thinks about your management style?
Or something, yep.
Okay. That would probably be on the next page, areas for improvement.
All right.
You know, this is where you could ask somebody else, what's one thing you think I need to work on? And usually I say, no matter what they say, you just look at them and say, thank you, that was valuable feedback. If you disagree with it, then you can say, I don't know that I agree with that. Could you help me understand what you mean?
All right, well, we're going to put that to the test. I'm going to let you ask Kabilas that. And
okay.
I'm not going to fire you.
So, and you've got a witness sitting here, okay?
No, she's way too valuable.
Okay.
I can't get rid of her.
Okay.
I wouldn't even if I wanted to.
What's one thing on that list that you'd like to give him some feedback that he needs to work on to improve?
Well, I was looking at the other list on the other page. Because our personalities are kind of opposite, a program to encourage creativity and self-worth. He has a lot of ability, more than people probably recognize. And there are just times I don't know what it feels like to run this business. There's an extreme amount of pressure running this radio station. I personally just want him to know that he is making a difference. Even though every single person in the community may not recognize it or may not express it, he is making a difference. And I'm one of those artsy, craftsy, hands-on, rainbow sunshine bubble kind of people. He's not, but I would love for him to get involved in something to kind of bring out a little more of that sunshine. I don't know.
Oh, okay. And
we got a call.
Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I think for Leganta, I think it's patience. Because everybody's not on his level. He's a good guy. He's smart, intelligent. But if you can't get it like he get it, he go hit on and do it.
And that's brother Kyle's, by the way, for Victory Praise Gospel.
And don't fire me, Leganta.
No, brother Kyle's, I'm not getting rid of you either. All of my people are very valuable, and I'm thankful for. Brother Kyle's, turn your radio down.
Okay.
But all of my volunteers and staff are very valuable. So and Brother Cobbs is right. I am one of the type of people where if I show somebody something they don't get it, sometimes I'll just say, well, in this time that it takes me to show somebody, I can just do it myself and get on to the next thing. Because I think kind of like you said earlier in the assessment, it's like A, B, C, D. I'm trying to get this progression going and not have anything slow it down. And if I feel like someone is slowing it down, I'll just get it done, push it out the way, and go on to the next thing. So, Brother Cobbs is right about that with the need for more patience. And of course, Quabil is also right as well. I'm kind of a glass half empty kind of person. I'm getting better at it, but I tend to approach life from more of a pessimistic than an optimistic standpoint. So this feedback is valuable. It is correct. I'm not going to argue or dispute it or fly off the handle or anything like that.
And I think I'm overly optimistic.
But I'm going to try to be more attentive on what you guys teach me. It's just that I'm not into what you know, and what I know is totally different, but I'm getting on your even queue with you one day.
One day.
All right, Brother Cobbs, we certainly thank you for the call. Any other comments? We got about 50 seconds.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
All right, well, Brother Cobbs,
have a good day.
Thank you for the call, Brother Cobbs.
Bye-bye.
Once again, we're speaking with Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting, talking about the DISC assessment, and we only got about 10 minutes left, and so much more that we have to cover, but we're going to bring Mr. Corter back. We're going to do Quabila next time.
I can't wait to see these results.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into break. Go ahead and hit the skip next. We're going to go ahead and get into a break. And when we come back, we will have more with Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting. Listen to KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. If you're planning to have a baby, you might want to brace for sticker shock. According to figures from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, a middle-income family with a baby born last year will spend more than $241,000 to raise that child to age 18. If there ever was a time to engage in financial planning, choosing to become a parent is it. First, think beyond your baby's due date to get an idea of the annual cost of raising your child. Use tools offered by organizations like the USDA to get an estimate of the incremental cost of parenthood in various categories, such as housing, clothing, and transportation, and then create a budget reflecting those costs. Also, determine what insurance coverage you'll need. Be sure to do your research, starting with healthcare coverage, to make sure your child is covered on your policy from his or her date of birth. Life insurance will ensure that the child is provided for if you or your spouse or partner dies. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Hey y'all, this is Dariana and I'm one of the members of the Golden Pirates. Come see us live Friday night, May 12th, 7 o'clock at the Epicenter. 1899 CR 333 Hasbrook Road in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It's gonna be swinging, hair, back popping, and attitude. It's just gonna be lit. Come see us. You could get your tickets for $5 or 2 for $8. You could get your tickets from KLEK website. This event is a KLEK and Golden Pirates fundraiser.
Friday Night Live, May 12th at the Epic Center, starting at 7 o'clock p.m., featuring the Golden Firettes, Pink Diamonds, Dynamic Dance, Purple Dolls, and the Explosive Dreamettes dance teams. Don't miss it.
Arkansas Early Learning is accepting applications right now for childcare. We have locations all across Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org. That's arearlylearning.org. Right here in the community at no cost. Arkansas Early Learning offering kids a head start.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK is starting a new fundraiser which will allow listeners to donate to KLEK while buying groceries. KLEK is a part of the Kroger Community Rewards fundraising program. When shoppers visit a participating Kroger and scan his or her Kroger Plus Shoppers card, a portion of the savings goes back to KLEK to help keep it on the air. Details on how to sign up for the program are available at KrogerCommunityRewards.com and at KLEKFM.org. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK with our guest, Mr. Jim Corter of Corter Consulting, talking about the DISC assessment, and the DISC assessment is a test or an assessment that helps people to improve communication skills with other people and with team members and organizations. I took the DISC assessment, and Kwabila's going to take the assessment, and we're going to bring Mr. Corter back to discuss her results at a later date. But let's continue on with the results of mine so far.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
After doing this, what's a couple of things that's either opened your eyes or added value to you?
Well, I think it just kind of reinforced some of the things that I kind of already figured out about my personality. Of course, I also learned about the other personalities, and I just got to go back and study over some more to get better grasp of interacting with those other personalities. But if anything, I would say that it helped me to realize it's okay to be who I am. It doesn't make me a bad person to be the way that I am.
Right. Yeah, people will ask me, well, which DISC style should I be? Which is the best one? And I'll say the best one is the one you are, which is basically what you just said. Discover who you are, be who you are, develop who you are, and then enjoy who you are.
Okay.
And I certainly would definitely agree with that, because there's only one you.
There's only one you, and the great Creator made us the way He made us, and all we got to do is discover how to use that for the best.
Looks like we got some more comments on our Facebook live stream. Dr. McDaniel says, Leganzi, the glass is refillable. Well, that is true, Dr. McDaniel. Dr. McDaniel, she's a very friendly, very bubbly kind of person. We're definitely thankful for her. April Lewis says, advice for communicating constructive criticism to a teen who is pretty sensitive. So, Mr. Corter, what your response to that?
Communicating to a team that is very sensitive, in my opinion, you first got to help them understand the 4 styles, because if you're very sensitive, then you think a dominant person may just be rude, when in fact they're just blunt and direct. So until you understand there are 4 different styles of communications, you're probably going to always be too sensitive. One of the things I tell people, for every minute I spend getting my feelings hurt and being offended, that is a minute I could use to solve a problem. I refuse to get offended.
I've been in situations like that where someone's made a comment and I immediately get defensive, like, how dare they? But then
I think you've been that way toward me, just didn't say it.
I'll never say it. But
no, but I can tell by the look on your face, or even when we're talking on Facebook, the dots will just start rolling. But I don't try to offend people, and sometimes that kind of makes me hesitant to actually say what I really feel, especially if it's of a critical nature. That's why I usually try to preface it with a compliment or something good that they're doing before getting into what we need to talk about.
Right.
And I'm kind of just rip the Band-Aid off and just go for it. Kind of like when you're addressing me, just don't give me flowers and then say, oh, by the way, or but however. Just, okay. Straight to the point. I don't know. But I'm the opposite. I'm the one that gives the flattery and the soft-spoken, I need to work on that.
Okay. There's a simple technique I use for giving people feedback. I tell you 2 things that you really do well, and I'm very specific, not generalized. And then I say, let me tell you one thing I'd like you to focus on even more next week. And then I turn it around and I say, tell me 2 things that I do well in your training, and 1 thing next week I need to do better in your training. And that way I get them the feedback going back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
And a lot of students should be familiar with that because Arkansas State does that. I'm pretty sure the majority of the colleges do that. At the end of a course, they will have you to submit a survey or do a survey and assess the class, the professor and the overall class.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, feedback is the breakfast of champions.
Okay.
I thought it was Wheaties.
All right. So are we going to go through any more parts of the assessment?
Yeah, we got about about 2.5 minutes, and then we'll get into the closing of the show.
Okay, on pages 19 and 20, this is called behavioral hierarchy. And it's not scores, it's what energizes you. And so you've got 4 perfect 10s, Laganzi, organized workplace, analysis of data.
Ms. Nora may disagree with number 1.
Well, there's 2 types of organization, files and piles.
Okay.
And both of them are legitimate ways to organize. So if you've got 14 piles on your desk, but you know where everything is, that's organization in piles.
That's me.
I'm a pile person. My wife is a file person.
I'm a pile person.
Following policy and consistency, those things energize you. But if we go to page number 20 and we see versatility, which changing on a dime without notice or frequent interaction with others, it doesn't mean you can't do those things. It means those things don't energize you like the 4 10s did. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I would definitely disagree with that, because this is something that some people have a misconception of. People think that because I do radio, I talk on the radio, that I'm this outgoing person, that I just like to, be around people. Even going back to when I was a DJ, even though I was DJing all the time, people think, oh, you're a DJ, that means you're this people person. I can do that. I can speak in front of crowds, but I love my solitude. That's where I'm most at home and most comfortable.
Right. And on number 11 on page 20, it shows that your energizing level is only a 1. So frequent interaction with other people does not energize you. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but it doesn't energize you like procedures and rules.
And that's a discussion the Mrs. and I have had a lot. She when I tell I'm introverted, she just vehemently disagrees, because again, she thinks, oh, but we can go out to an event, or I'll just use an example. The chamber may have something, and I can just go up to people and introduce myself and speak to them. And she said, just the fact that you can approach people, that shows that you're not introverted. I said, well, no, I can approach people and make conversation with people. Doesn't mean that I relish it.
Right.
But, I can do it because it's, networking, is required. Well, all right, we got to go ahead and stop there. But Mr. Corter, if someone is interested in the assessment, let them know how they can get in touch with you and how they can take the assessment for themselves.
They can go to corter.com, corter.com, or email at jimc@corter.com.
And like I said, we're going to have Kubila take the DISC assessment, and Mr. Corter will be back to give his feedback. So I guess in this last 2 minutes, I guess Kubila and I will kind of do the little thing that Mr. Corter was talking about. So what was it, like 2 things that you thought were good? I guess I'll name one. Well, one, I like the thoroughness of the assessment. I like how everything is laid out as far as giving the results. It's easy to read and it's easy to understand. So what's one thing that you liked about what we did today?
I like how it will help individuals become more aware of who they are and why they do what they do. I'm a sociologist by nature, and so I like to understand the why. So once I have some black and white evidence that this is why I think, feel, do what I do, it will help me adjust maybe in various situations in my life, whether it be work or personal.
Okay, the other side of feedback is when I come back, what's one thing I can do better?
What's one thing you can do better? Maybe because we're limited on time, maybe already have some key points that need to be discussed.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to individuals' personality and communicating style.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Valuable feedback.
All right. Well, once again, we want to thank Mr. Corter for stopping by. The website is corterconsulting.com if you are interested in the DISC assessment. Shout out to everyone who tuned in today. And once again, thank you to Dr. Karen McDaniel for recommending Mr. Corter to come by here today. You guys have a great and blessed day. You listen to KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you.